He's going to go to Los Angeles and figure it out. He's just going to go there and figure it out. Said no one ever. But it might happen for Bryce Young. Seriously. You better hope the quarterback figures it out. You better hope Bryce Young figures it out here. And I haven't been one to blame Dave Canales. I haven't through all this. I think the 5 wins largely attributable to him and the coaching staff. We're going to go into all the reasons I give Canales credit in a minute. But more and more of these coaches are able to figure out the failing quarterback. The bad quarterback, whether it's Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones. There's so many bad quarterbacks in this league, they actually share last names now. There's so many bad quarterbacks in this league that they figure it out after falling flat on their face that they share last names. There's multiple Joneses that it's happened to where they fail. It's a bad system. Maybe an injury holds them back in the case of Baker Mayfield. Then they go somewhere else and figure it out. Then they go to Los Angeles. They become an influencer. They create a profile on Etsy. And Sean McVay locks him in a room and goes over the quarterback's scalp and massages the scalp. The only type of massage that works for the quarterback position in that league. And all of a sudden, the quarterback's lobotomized into being good. Lobotomized into being good. It is magical. It doesn't make sense. It has to be some sort of metaphysical thing. It doesn't make sense how the Colts can get something out of Daniel Jones. How Kevin O'Connell can revive the career of Sam Darnold, who was seeing ghosts. Who looked worse than Bryce Young at times during his career. And they figure it out. Why can't your coach figure it out? Why can't your coach figure it out? And again, I'm going to give Canales a lot of credit here. I'm going to. I think the front office that he's clearly involved in, the offensive line that's been coached up, really bad at running the ball in Tampa. He gets the job in Carolina. Next thing you know, you have 5 wins because of the running game. You have 5 wins because of this smash mouth, violent brand of football that really I don't think is his forte. I think he wants the high-flying, pizzazz offense. That's what Canales wants to do. I give him credit for being versatile. I give him credit for not crumpling, despite not having good quarterback play, despite having a quarterback that is worst in career yards per attempt average. Worst career yards per attempt average. This is over the career minimum. 650 pass attempts. This is since the Vietnam War. Since the Vietnam War. And let me just give the source here quickly because I feel bad that I don't have it in front of me. Scott Barrett, he pulled this data. Since the Vietnam War, Bryce Young, he's 8th on this list. 8th worst. I can't even name the quarterbacks. Ryan Leaf's on here. I know him. Johnny Manziel before Johnny Manziel. Bruce Gradkowski's on here. He had a cool jersey. Because that was back when Gradkowski, I think he was on the Raiders with Sebastian Janikowski. His cousin's a friend of the program. These other guys, I can't even name them. Mike Phipps, David Klingler. Honestly, I feel bad not being able to recognize these names. Honestly, I'm probably going to get exposed in the comments for not knowing some of these names. Danny Canales. But it's like, what is this, a brokerage? Is this an insurance firm? Because this is what these names sound like. And Bryce Young is 8th worst since the Vietnam War. Since the Vietnam War. That's how bad Bryce Young is in yards per attempt average. And the number gets even worse when you expand it to worst career yards per attempt average with 1,000 plus attempts. He's first on the list. He is the worst quarterback. So if you even expand it and take the microscope out even more, he's worse than anyone else ever. So you're not getting good quarterback play. The quarterback is a deer in the headlights. He's been that way for the majority of his career, outside of a 9-game stretch in 2024 where he looked really good. I said he catfished us at all. It was like a Tinder profile. You go, wow, it's a 9. Wow, look at this. Swipe right. Next thing you know, it's someone working in a call center on Hoth, the iced over planet in Star Wars. That's who you're talking to. It's not some beautiful blonde woman in Los Angeles where Bryce Young's going to end up, and you better hope he doesn't. You better hope he doesn't, because I'm telling you, someone will figure it out with him if you don't. And that will be tough to live through. That will be tough. And I blame Canales for not being able to do that himself. Because I pulled these quotes. I went all the way back to January of 2024. So this is when you hired Canales. And I needed to understand. I was actually reading. It was ridiculous what I was reading today. I read Bucks 2023 athletic articles. I was just trying to pinpoint why Canales can't figure it out with this quarterback. And I pinpointed exactly why. So we're going to talk about that right now. Darin Gantt, Dave Canales, quote unquote, he's here to lead a whole team, but the focus will be on what he's able to do with second-year quarterback Bryce Young. David Tepper, Dave's background is rooted in success. He has an innovative mindset and positive energy that connects well with players and staff, blah, 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 blah. We are impressed with his ability to bring out the best in players, a.k.a. Bryce Young. Bryce Young. Darin Gantt goes on, Mayfield's improvement last season helped make Canales an attractive coaching candidate, and Carolina is certainly hoping he will have the same effect on Young. That's actually Bleacher Report, not Darin Gantt. You brought him in to help the quarterback. That's why Dave Canales is here. That's 1A. 1A. That's why he's here. And I give Canales an overall grade of a B. I think he's been good. He hasn't been part of the losing. He's not the reason you're losing. And he's in many ways, a reason you're winning too. But again, on the report card, I'm giving Dave Canales feedback because that's what I do. I'm the teacher here. And I hand the grades back to Canales and I write a comment. I go, Dave, yeah, great job with the personnel decisions. We know you were big on Tetero and McMillan, and we know you've scouted receivers and you've done your homework there. You've been integral to a lot of the front office decision-making. You have a seat next to Dan Morgan. Again, that was a big reason you brought him here. This is Panthers.com. He spent 8 years in Seattle working alongside new Panthers president of football operations, quote-unquote, general manager Dan Morgan. That's why Canales is here too. He has good cohesion with the front office. A+ on that. I think the decision-making since Canales has been here, roster-wise, has been good. There's some failures. I think Leggett, Jonathan Brooks, who's not going to play until 2026 now. So it hasn't been perfect, but it's been good. The offensive line, can't give him enough credit for that. And I'm not saying Canales is totally responsible for this, but he's involved in these decisions. He gets credit for it. Canales gets credit for winning with this smash mouth brand of football. I've talked about it extensively. Where does Canales need to improve? Get something out of your broken quarterback. Get something out of your quarterback who's in the shower after the game with his hair in front of his eyes singing Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. And that's Bryce Young in the locker room as the rest of the team's like, why aren't we practicing hard? We need to play better. Bryce Young just like, singing Green Day. He's got the makeup on and everything. I walk a lonely road. And that's what your quarterback's doing. He's a sad boy. And he can't figure it out. And the infectious positive energy and the innovative mindset. This is what Tepper was saying about Canales. AKA, you're Dr. Phil. AKA, you're our therapist. You're our coach and offensive coordinator. Go help him. Bryce Young sitting in the corner. I walk a lonely road. You're here for him, Dave. And it's not working out. He's been unable to fix the quarterback, and other coaches are doing it. The Colts are doing it with Daniel Jones. Mac Jones goes to San Francisco. This is after there's videos of him at Jaguars practice. He's like goofing around, getting hit he's like falling over when they touch him in those drills where you're not even supposed to fall. He was a laughingstock, completely lost his mind in New England. Completely lost it in New England. He goes to San Francisco. He looks elite. He looks really good. Kyle Shanahan figured it out. The Seahawks continue to figure it out with Sam Darnold. Kevin O'Connell before him figured it out with Sam Darnold too. Other coaches get something out of the quarterback. They don't parse words. They don't argue about the play calling. They don't complain. They just figure it out. They get the broken quarterback and it works. No one knows how. I'm serious. It's literal magic. No one knows why it works. It just does. It's something that they do. They dress up like Dumbledore and wave a freaking wand over the quarterback's head. I don't know what it is. I'm telling you, I would not be surprised if the government began investigating the Rams and these teams that can fix these quarterbacks that just flat out sink. And the Panthers need to be able to do that. Now, here's another question. This is what had me rolling around in bed. Has Canales proven that he can fix the quarterback? Has Canales proven over the course of time that he is capable of fixing quarterbacks? Which is a good question. Because I think he's doing well this season. He's probably your coach of the future, so long they don't completely tank down the stretch. He's probably your guy long term. So hopefully he figures it out with Bryce. If he doesn't figure it out with Bryce, you're bringing in someone else to Canales' system. Do you have faith? I don't give Canales credit for Baker Mayfield. I think that's a mistake. I think Baker Mayfield was hurt in Cleveland. Cleveland didn't stick it out with their quarterback. They let him go. They didn't extend him. They didn't want him. That was a mistake. That was a huge mistake. He was a badass in Cleveland at points, won big games, played really well, proved he could win, and they let him go. And then they gave $250 million guaranteed to a guy that's not playing. It was dumb what Cleveland did. Consensus, revisionist history. Revisionist history also tells us Baker Mayfield, who's had 3 OCs in Tampa, Baker Mayfield who's overcome injury, Baker Mayfield who was on 2 terrible teams in 2022, including the Panthers, 2 broken systems, 2 fractured systems where coaching staffs and such were imperfect. Baker Mayfield, Cowboy Baker, went and figured it out in Tampa. And you know what? I read a quote by Todd Bowles. It was right after Todd Bowles lost Tom Brady. And Bowles goes, we'll figure it out. Quarterback, whatever. The GOAT? Oh, it was funny. He literally was like, the GOAT? The GOAT. Yeah, we don't need him. We have Levante David. We're good with him. Levante, yeah, he's good. He's good. Quarterback, what's that? I'm talking about the quarterback of the defense. Tom Brady. He doesn't win Super Bowls. Levante David Vita Vea, they do. That was pretty much what Todd Bowles said about the quarterback when they lost Brady and ended up going into the 2023 season with Kyle Trask, Dave Canales at OC, Brad Idzik, receivers coach, shout out, and Baker Mayfield. He couldn't care less. They've had a revolving door of OCs, and it's always consistently worked with Baker Mayfield. I don't give Canales a ton of credit for Baker. I don't. I don't. And whether it's him going to Los Angeles and maybe getting some coaching from Sean McVay, they go and they get facelifts and Botox and talk about how they can be better quarterbacks together. That's what you do in Los Angeles. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's maybe something else, but I think more and more we believe that Baker Mayfield, who had injury struggles, who was in bad systems, that Rams team in 2022 was god-awful. The roster was falling apart. They had some great drafts since then. That's why they're in contention. I don't give Canales credit for Mayfield. I don't. I find it hard to believe. And he's winning in other ways. That's why I give him a good grade. I give Canales credit for winning with the run, with stopping the run on defense, with having the smash mouth brand of football. I give him credit for that. But what's holding the team back? Well, it's the vertical passing game. And the quarterback seems to be holding that back. Well, here's Dave Canales. What does he need to see before he calls more deep shot plays? So this is a weird quote that contradicted what I said yesterday. Here's Dave Canales.
Are you pushing the ball downfield with your play calling, or do you feel like there's just a disconnect with the production?
In general, I think it's a group effort. Calling more of them, yes, let's get some more opportunities. Would love to have those explosive plays come alive. I will call them more when we have more success and those things come alive for us. But we have to keep working together. we have to keep taking those shots in practice to make sure we feel comfortable with them. And certainly, for Brad and I, just looking at the pass game, the coverage contours and what they're giving us, pretty simple when they're playing single high and everyone's at the line of scrimmage. We got to make the most of those opportunities when we have them, so that we are a balanced offense. And so it does play off of the run game, which we got going, but now let's get the pass game going so we really can be attacking and the offense that I visualize.
A lot of people have talked about this in the comments. They say Canales is protecting Bryce. I totally agree. That's A+ commenting. I totally agree. I feel bad that I can't get back to all the comments sometimes. I try my best. I read them all. Even the voice to text ones. So it's clearly like someone who's not typing, but they write like a 2,000 word comment. I read it. I do. It's super long, but it's clearly like someone in the, I don't know if they're at work or whatever, like in the bathroom. Like this is the new age smoke break in America. You run to the bathroom, you put in a Zyn, and you just go, the tone. I am watching this and I totally agree, because I agree with everything you say about the quarterback and the coach. I don't think Bryce Young, and it's just 1,000 words. It's awesome. I read those. Unfortunately, I can't respond to all of them, and I really wish I could, but the comments have been coming alive, unlike the Panthers passing game, according to the coach. Yesterday, I wasn't lying to you. I wasn't. And I genuinely believe that Canales thinks the play calling's good. And he believes he's calling the necessary play calls to push the ball downfield. I believe in that. Well, there he goes, no, it needs to come alive in practice, and then we'll call some shot plays. So everything he's said has been a bunch of verbal diarrhea. And it's obviously because he's not speaking the truth. I mean, clearly he thinks the quarterback's holding this thing back, and he's not saying it, and it's constantly like ballroom dancing with your shoelaces tied together. What are you supposed to do? You're sort of just fumbling and dancing around. It doesn't work because he's not telling the truth. So he's saying a bunch of different things. I do find this interesting, though. The pass game needs to come alive in practice. So what? They're joshing around, they're dinking around with the vertical pass game? They can't execute at practice, and that's why it's not happening in the game? Well, this sounds very similar to what Akemakwanu was saying. Not paying attention to details, not seeing things come to life in practice, practicing being soft, practicing being weak, practice being so subpar. David Newton writes for ESPN, it was so noticeable that Coach Dave Canales spoke to the team about it. Not once, but multiple times. I have a quote from Joe Person. Maybe it was the Victory Monday. Canales said, maybe that's not a good strategy for us. Headline, Joe Person. Guys got too big-headed. What doomed the Panthers and their loss to the Saints? Well, maybe they're sitting there saying, oh, no, you don't have to pass downfield. Rico, here's the toss. Rico. For a horizontal pass. That works. Because they're the Saints. We don't got to push it downfield. They're not going to mask blitzes with Alontae Taylor and give us one safety over the top and leave us one-on-one. I'm not going to have to throw it downfield. I'm Bryce Young. I don't know. Maybe I'm connecting the dots a little bit too much, but I find that interesting. It has to come alive in practice. Well, the lethargy, what's holding the Panthers back, is this idea, quote unquote, everyone's talking about it. The practice is being subpar. Well, then the coach is telling you the vertical pass game needs to come alive in practice. I can't imagine that Dave Canales wants to see them do Oklahomas and run into each other at practice. Because that's how this is being spun. Like, I will criticize Dave Canales for being a little bit soft, but do you think they're talking about the run game? Do you think they're talking about the things that they've done well? I don't know. I think the Saints exposed all the things you were doing poorly, which is, I think, Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn specifically, I think J.C. Horn has gotten beat a little bit over the top. He did against the Jets, and Tyrod Taylor made some really bad underthrows. You didn't have to worry about the vertical passing game at Lambeau. The wind was going 1,000,000 miles per hour. You got beat on defense in ways that I think you could have gotten beat on all season if quarterbacks were able to hit the throws over the top. You got beat on offense a way no team has challenged you all season. You got beat by a team daring you to throw downfield, and you couldn't do it because you've never done it. Well, maybe it's culture Maybe it's Canales' soft culture. Here is Nick Scorton. I didn't have this clip yesterday, but I wanted to play it today. Here is Nick Scorton on the vibe in the locker room pregame.
100%. I think some guys got too big-headed and forgot what really goes on in the NFL. Like I said, I haven't been here long, man, so I can't speak on, what it's supposed to look like and everything like that. But I know what we're supposed to look like because, I work hard myself. So I think, man, getting back to our roots, this week and, putting our hard hat back on and, getting to work.
Joe Person headline, guys got too big-headed. What doomed the Panthers in their loss to the Saints? 100%, says Nick Scorton. 100%, that's the reason. We got too big-headed. And everyone's spitting this. Maybe the Panthers got a little bit soft. And I would give Canales some blame for that, sure. This is a guy that earlier in the summer, this offseason, Chuba Hubbard and Bryce Young had to lead, quote-unquote, gassers after the loss to the Texans. They looked lethargic. They looked slow. They were complaining about the humidity. And instead of the coach lining guys up and doing, what are those, burpees with the players, no. Instead, it's Young and Chuba Hubbard needing to step up and lead that initiative. I don't think Canales is the tough, dip-spitting coach. I don't think that's who he is. I don't think he's the big, get-in-your-face football guy. The whole victory Monday, take the day off, and I think a lot of what he says is good. I think Canales is an emotionally intelligent guy. He's not the hyper-masculine, talk with a deep voice and yell at you coach. You need to figure it out, Bryce. He's like Thanos in the locker room. Bryce Young, figure it out. I don't think that's who he is. Maybe he is a little bit soft. I think, honestly, you could see it unfold in real time. Joe Person goes on. In a Week 9 victory that was followed by appearances by players and Canales on national sports programs, and a live drop-in by actor Keegan-Michael Key via a video during a team meeting. I thought that video was hilarious. I didn't talk about it last week. I didn't talk about the two pumps and all that. That's not my thing. I think Key and Peele are funny. I watch their skits occasionally. I've watched them throughout my whole life. I have. They're hilarious guys. Not my news. It's not what I tend to talk about. But I watched that clip of Keegan-Michael Key, and I think his wife came on and they made a donation to the charity that Rico Dowdle was initiating. But I watched the Zoom and I go, everyone in the room kind of feels awkward. It's like, why is this? It seems forced. Like, it was one win. And now we're doing the big social media, get the celebrity in the room. Like, this is something the Eagles should do. They did it last year with the popular self-help book. I love the self-help book, Inner Excellence. And they do the media thing and they bring in the pop culture figure. Every team does this a little bit. I'm blanking on examples off the top of my head. But they get someone involved. They get some big cultural figure. And you do it when you're like 9-0. You do it when maybe you're 15-1. That's when you do it. Not when you're 5-4 coming off of a, I don't know, underwhelming win. I say underwhelming because it was like, yes, that game was really good for the Panthers and the brand, 100%, not taking that away, but it was a game that Pat McAfee called boring. Like, it's not like you went into Lambeau, put up 50 points and shut them out. It's not like you're 8-2. It's not like you're the Patriots. All my friends, they're doing the Patriots, that dance that they do when they score. You know you're good when you have a dance, when you have the dab. When you have a dab, when you have a dance. Look at me dab, look at me. When you can do that, because you're winning, it can coincides with the winning, then it's cool. I think the whole Keegan-Michael Key video, whether it's that or the victory Monday or all that, sure, I could be talked into this team getting a little airheaded, sure. I don't buy into the narrative that the subpar practices that Canales specifically addressed, that's the reason that they lost the game. I think it was clear as day that they lost the game because of the quarterback. And I think ultimately in this league, this is a narrative. I wrote this down. I feel like Aristotle or a philosopher with this quote. Great quarterbacks help the coach. Great coaches help the quarterback. Meditate on this, we must. Meditate on it. I think that's so true because you look what's happening with Drake May over in New England. Continually, Drake May is elevating that thing. That roster really isn't that great. This is a Patriots team that was worse than you last season. They were in more of a rebuild mode than you were in the offseason. Like, this is months ago. The Patriots had less prospects than you. The Panthers were supposed to be better than the Pats. The Pats were 2 off seasons away from contention. And they get a tackle who some think is a guard, but Will Campbell's been playing pretty good. They still need a lot of weapons. They still need freaking weapons. They need pieces on defense. Yes, they got Milton Williams and Spillane's been playing really well, but their defense isn't great. That roster isn't good. I think pound for pound, the Panthers roster is as good as the Patriots. Probably better. I think your offensive line and defensive lines are much better. You have Derek Brown. You have better pieces on the offensive line. You're better than that team. What's the difference? The quarterback. Why are the Patriots 8-2 right now? The quarterback. Why did the Patriots beat the Bills in prime time? The quarterback's making crazy throws that no one else can make in the league. The quarterback is making throws being compared to Josh Allen. The quarterback looks like a top 5 quarterback. The quarterback, I believe, is leading the MVP race right now. It's the quarterback, the quarterback, the quarterback, the quarterback. You can say Vrabel's a good coach. You can say Vrabel's got the culture. You can speak highly about Vrabel. Drake May is the reason they're winning. And this Panthers team is so fragile in the sense that if they don't get great coaching, if it's not absolutely perfect, if Evero is not pitching a perfect game on defense, if J.C. Horn isn't giving up no plays, people blaming J.C. Horn for the loss to New Orleans, please, that guy's given up nothing all season. He's going to get beat. It's like Randy Johnson's going to give up a home run. It's going to happen. Clayton Kershaw, he's going to give up. He's going to have a bad game. He's going to go out there and give 5 earned by the 3rd inning. It's going to happen. Derek Brown's yet to crumple, but it's going to happen to your star players. Who makes up for that? The quarterback. The quarterback. And continually, Drake May does that in New England. Whether it's a 78-yard touchdown to freaking Kyle Williams. Hasn't made a play all season, making huge plays against the Bucs on Sunday. Why? The quarterback drops a dime. The quarterback puts it right in the breadbasket. Kyle Williams takes it to the house. No safety over the top. If Drake May played the Saints, he would have had 5 touchdowns and 450 yards. In that same game. It is the quarterback. It's the quarterback. And I'm not saying your guy needs to be Drake May. I'm not saying Young needs to be Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or any of these players. I just want you to know that it comes down to the quarterback. And now you have the Falcons, a team that I think is going to challenge you. I think they're pissed after you shut them out 30-0. I unfortunately am going to be away for the next 2 days. I'm going to try to get you a show Saturday. Unfortunately, I have to travel home. Unexpected event happened, so I have to run home. And I don't have equipment up there. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure it out for me, and we can't. But I'm going to do a quick minute on the Falcons before I give you some more content, hopefully later in the week on the Falcons. The Falcons, 10th in yards allowed, 1st in pass yards allowed on defense. They're only giving 162 yards per game passing. Is this a game for the Panthers passing attack to flourish, to go off? I don't think so. I think this Falcons team's ready for you. Worst of all, they're 5th in sacks. You can argue yourself into this. I think the Denver Broncos are the only team that are the exception to this rule. I think that Falcons defense is ready to match up against this Panthers offense. If you could create a defense that's good for attacking Bryce Young specifically, it would be the Falcons defense. Great pass rush. They fixed the pass rush. They got 2 first-round edge rushers and then went out and signed Leonard Floyd on top of it. They want to beat you. They're ready to go. This is a Falcons team that wants to win. They're ready to win. Now, good news is that the Falcons defense is really bad against the run. 28th in rush yards allowed, 146 per game. I think the unfortunate circumstance of all is every single team knows how to attack you now. And I think the smash mouth sucker punching brand of football where you go in and you just put your head down and run through people. I think that works good initially. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic because maybe I overestimated the Panthers a little bit. I am scared that teams are going to look at what Brandon Staley did. Brandon Staley, defensive genius, defensive coordinator for the Saints. They're going to look at what he did and copy it. Like the smart kid with the chemistry answers. Ooh, give me those. Next thing you know, you have an A+. Next thing you know, the Falcons have an A+ on defense. Next thing you know, these teams down the stretch know how to attack Bryce Young. We'll leave the guys one-on-one. One safety back. Load the box. Load the box! It's like a bunch of pilgrims coming across the sea. Going through the ship. This is the Thanksgiving theme show. Load the box! As they pillage and go across the waters. The high rising waters. Fighting, loading the box to beat your quarterback. And I fear teams down the stretch are going to do that. They're going to force Bryce Young to beat you. That's what they would do if they're smart. If they know what they're doing. If they know what they're doing, if they don't let their kids run the team, they know what they're doing, they're going to make Bryce Young beat you. And that scares me. That scares me. Because this is a team that can beat you well. They can get pressure off the edge. That's what the Saints did. They can easily do that with Jalen Walker, Leonard Floyd, and Pierce, and some of these other guys they have. They can easily do it. They're fifth in the league in sacks with 29. They're good outside. A.J. Terrell, I believe, he's playing pretty well down the stretch. They have what it takes to beat you, and I'm a little bit scared of it. Really hoping the Panthers quarterback can step it up. That's the path. That's the path for me. And I don't want to be stuck to Bryce Young, even if he proves he's a really good quarterback, because that's what happened last season. Then we all got catfished and fooled into thinking he's really good, and he's not. At least he hasn't been. I just want a good quarterback, man. The Tone was a quarterback, at least recreationally. I can throw the ball. I got some zip. I can. I don't have a big arm, but I got some zip. I can put enough on it. Let me throw an out. Dave Canales, come on. I'm a replacement. I'm a plug-and-play replacement for Bryce Young, please. I don't have to throw it over the top. Are you kidding me? I can do it. I just have to take some hits, but I'll just wear one of those big, what do they call them, the crown helmets? Little pad on the helmet now. I'll wear one of those. Big mouth guard. You won't even be able to hear me talk. Ready! I'll do, here we go! This is the Tone.